Hi, and welcome to Legacy Talks. And today, it's February, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about love, since February is all about Valentine's and everything. Love, marriage, and family.
Yeah, but we're not going to do the silly cliches. We want to talk about real love and what actually works and real life.
Yes. So, real love, not Valentine's stuff. Real love between husband and wife and your kids.
Although Valentine's Day stuff is important.
Yes, it is.
Go buy your spouse some flowers, some candy.
Mm-hmm.
Get him, I don't know, get him a coffee mug or something. Or wives. We always think a guy's buying the ladies something.
Yeah.
But ladies, buy your man a cup of coffee or something.
If you like sweets, buy him those heart candies.
Buy him a steak.
Buy him a steak. Or wait, if he's into gaming, buy him gaming cards for his PlayStation or Xbox. Or
that sounds like a subliminal message you're trying to send.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today's episode, though, is about love, and love isn't what you think. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to learn, is that love is not maybe what we think or what we've been led to believe. And so we want to talk about what love is. When most people think of love, what do you think comes to mind for most people?
Probably feelings, chemistry, or attention.
Okay. And giving attention to the person you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think also affection and attraction, those are all things that we think of when we think of love. I remember when I was a kid watching the movie Bambi, and when Bambi fell in love with whatever the female deer's name is, I don't remember.
I don't remember that part.
But Thumper said that Bambi was Twitter-pated, got butterflies in his stomach. He's Twitter-pated. And so all of those feelings are real, but feelings are not always stable. And so we want to go beyond feeling. We want to go beyond chemistry. We want to go beyond the attraction, and we want to figure out what real love is.
They come and go, basically.
Feelings.
Like they always come and go. They don't stay. They come, you feel it for a while, and then you're like, okay, I don't feel it.
Right. Because feelings do fade. They do come and go. They change. And if love is only built on feelings, then love will not last, because feelings can change. And so the problem with feeling only love is that feelings were never meant to lead. I tell people all the time, feelings are indicators, not dictators. And so feelings are indicators. They let us know kind of what's going on. They let us know that maybe the environment has changed that we are in. They let us know maybe there is this new attraction, maybe but feelings indicate to us something, but we choose the direction we go. And feelings were meant to follow choice. And that's, I've noticed that, man, Bradley, I've noticed that in so many different areas. People say to me all the time, but Pastor, I feel. Well, I feel a lot of things. Sometimes I feel like yelling at the person in front of me. When they're taking forever, they can't check out properly at the grocery store. I feel like, feelings change based on whether we're tired, whether things are going our way. We might not be feeling well. Feelings change. And so we don't always follow feelings. Feelings need to follow our choices. So feelings indicate things to us, but we don't have to follow those feelings. In fact, we need to lead our feelings in the direction that we want to go. And we lead our feelings by changing our thoughts.
Yeah. And people always start wondering if something is wrong, but there's like if there is something wrong, maybe they need to look and see, like you said, maybe the stress or the disappointment or offense. Like they need to look at maybe that's why they're not feeling that feelings or having that attraction from the love that they want from their person.
Right. So feel, again, like I said a few minutes ago, feelings are indicators. They let us know that maybe we need to look at something. But feelings doesn't mean the love is gone. It just means maybe we need to look. Have we been too busy? Have we become preoccupied with chores and tasks and other things, and we haven't been investing into that marriage relationship or that dating relationship like we should? Even in serving God, you can feel a fiery, passionate love for God on Sunday morning, Sunday night, run the aisle, shout, dance, but by Tuesday.
You're going to feel that, I don't feel like reading the Bible. I don't feel like praying.
Right.
I'm sorry, God. Let me put you on the back burner. I love you, but let me put you on the back burner. I don't feel it today.
Yeah. And
that's what it happens. So,
yeah. And so people begin to feel like, oh, well, I'm not in love anymore because I don't feel that feeling. But love is a choice, and we're going to get into that. Love is a choice, even when feelings shift or feelings change based on, you mentioned some really great ones. Maybe you've been disappointed, maybe you've been offended, maybe you've been hurt, or you're tired or sick or discouraged. Feelings can change on those things, but that doesn't mean that the love is gone. Biblical love is love that is action before emotion. Action before emotion. And if I could stray just real quick, we kind of have notes to keep us on task, but if I could stray, I was sharing this with someone the other day. I've never really thought about it before, but 1 Corinthians 13 is what we call the love chapter. And 1 Corinthians 13 describes love, but all of those things, when I read it, I see where all of those things can be a choice and they're action. They're not emotions, right?
Yeah.
So in the King James, it calls it charity, but in other versions, it calls it love. And I'm going to read it from the CSB version. But it says, love is patient. Patient is a choice. Patient is, waiting with a good attitude. Patient is enduring a situation, not giving up. Most of us think of patience when we're in a hurry and that person cut us off in traffic, and we choose not to honk the horn and yell at them and give them a dirty look as we pass them. We think of patience as not rolling our eyes and sighing when we're in the grocery line and we're in a hurry. So patience is a choice. Patience is an action. Patience is choosing to smile when you feel like rolling your eyes. Patience is maintaining a good tone of voice when you feel like yelling, right? Love is kind. And, that is just doing good, being compassionate, again, showing tender mercy and kindness to someone. Love does not envy. Love doesn't get jealous. So I choose not to get jealous when you are blessed, right? And so again, love is a choice. These are behaviors. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not get jealous. Love is not boastful. It doesn't brag, right? Love is not arrogant. We all know what arrogant is. People that think they're better than everybody else. They can't do any wrong. They have no room for improvement because they're perfect. Again, these are choices. These are behaviors. These are actions that we display. You know how you know somebody is patient? By how they act. You know how you know somebody is kind? By what they do. You know how you know that somebody isn't jealous? Because they can celebrate you, right?
Oh, yeah.
We all know what a braggart sounds like, so I don't have to even explain that one. Love is not arrogant, right? So we know that someone has love by their behaviors. So again, love is a choice. I believe love is a choice, and love is displayed through behaviors and choices. Love is not rude. Love is not self-seeking. Love is not irritable. My goodness, I need to read that one over and over, right? Love is not irritable. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. So love chooses to not keep track of how many times I asked you to do the dishes, or how many times I told you to pick up, your laundry, or how many times I've mentioned to you that the grass needs cut, things like that. Love doesn't keep track of those things. It doesn't keep track of a whole long list of disappointments and letdowns. And again, these are all choices that love makes. These are all behaviors that love displays. And you could say, well, some of them sound like emotions. They might be, but emotions are only recognized through some kind of verbal or physical display, right? And so love is a choice. Love is a behavior. Love is a decision. Love is an action word.
Oh, yeah. And, I was just thinking, when you said patient, it was reminding me how God is always patient. You could say that we're talking about love, and we're talking about loving your partners and showing love to other people too, but God loves us enough to be patient that, yes, maybe we're sinning and we keep on doing the same sin over and over. And if you're going to church while sinning, okay, but God still loves you enough that he'll be patient for you to soon you'll raise your hand and ask him for help, because it's going soon come back to you're like, oh, I want to be out of this. I want to stop sinning. I want to start loving God.
Right.
And he's always patient. He doesn't force it on you.
Yeah, God, thank God he doesn't throw lightning bolts at people just because they sin.
Not like suicide.
But we don't want to excuse sin, and God doesn't excuse sin. But what you're talking about is God gives us a chance to repent.
Mm-hmm.
God will deal with us. God will speak to us. He'll minister to us and give us opportunity to repent. And Scripture tells us that his long suffering, or his patience, is our salvation. If God was not patient, we'd be doomed.
Yeah, he would just send death to us already. He'd be like, okay, well, you don't want to come? Fine, I'll send death right to your door.
Right.
I guess he'll be done with you.
And it has happened that way before.
It has.
But thank God for his mercy, his patience, his long suffering, his love.
Mm-hmm.
God commendeth, or God displayed his love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think it's important for us to understand that all of these things, also, I tell people, when you're reading through 1 Corinthians, you can pray it as a prayer, take the word love out or the word charity out, and put your name in there, and say, by the help and the grace of God, Brent is patient and kind and long-suffering. Brent does not get envious or arrogant, and you can speak those things about yourself. But you can also, Bible says, God is love.
Mm-hmm.
God is love. Yeah. So each one of these things are a characteristic of God. If God lives in us, then these things should be in us, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you could even tie Galatians chapter 5, where it talks about the fruit of the Spirit, to 1 Corinthians 13. Because it doesn't say the fruits of the Spirit. It says the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that correlates with 1 Corinthians chapter 13. One translation says it like this: the fruit of the Spirit is love that is displayed in joy that overflows, peace that subdues. And so basically it's written that the fruit of the Spirit is love, and out of that love comes gentleness and faith and meekness and temperance and long suffering and all of those things, which we see in 1 Corinthians 13. So love is character. Love is choice, behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a verb. Love is a verb. But love shows up.
Yep.
Love serves. love stays.
Even when it's hard, it always stays and serves for a purpose.
Right.
It doesn't just go away when life comes down, or you or your spouse is fighting, or maybe your friends are fighting. You know, it always stays when it's the hardest.
Yeah.
Even when people leave and it feels like God leaves you, but it always stays. Even
Love,
when God doesn't
I like
leave.
that. Love sticks it out.
Yeah.
I like that, Bradley. That's good. Love sticks around, especially when it's hard.
Oh yeah.
That's how you can measure love, is when it's not easy. When everybody else would have walked away and love chooses to stay. That's good. That's good. So what does love look like in marriage, real life marriage, the truth of marriage? Because I want to say this to you as my son, and to maybe people that are listening. You've been married 2 years now, right?
Yep. This year will be 3.
So going on 3 years. Wow, time flies.
It does.
And your mom and I did a Q&A today during service
Oh, yeah.
about love, and marriage and parenting and all those things. Marriage goes through seasons. Love goes through seasons, and the behaviors might change, and the way it's displayed might change. And every marriage goes through seasons where they have low times, where they have hard times. And how you deal with that is what creates that mature love that lasts a lifetime. And so we have to understand that even in the low times, that can be normal. That's something that happens often, happens to everyone.
Oh yeah.
And so it's a normal thing, but it matters how we handle those seasons. When love is running low, when emotions might seem to not be lining up with commitments and things like that, we have to learn how to handle ourselves in that situation. Because it's what we do in those situations that determines the fruit that we get later, the harvest that we reap later.
Yeah. So it's basically just don't quit in your marriage. If it's going to like rock bottom and you feel like it's not going to go back up, hold out. Don't quit, because you'll see it going back up. Maybe
that's
something
exactly it, Bradley. Don't quit. It could be wrapped up in that. Don't quit.
Because it like you could say, it's almost like God too, because it's almost like God planned marriage to be around Him. And when you mention marriage, it always comes back to God. It always represents Him. When you're hitting rock bottom in your marriage, we do the same thing with God. You're walking with God and all that, and then you hit rock bottom, right? When you're rocking on the rocks and you're like, I can't do this. It hurts. I want to quit. But
Right.
again, that conditional love that God has for you, you're sticking it out because God's love is stronger than anything, and it keeps you going.
Right.
Without His love, you would not make it through. Without His mercy and patience, you're not going to make it through that to go back upstairs on that mountain.
Right. I was just reading verse 7 of 1 Corinthians 13. It says, love bears all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. What does that mean? Love doesn't quit. That's what you just said. Don't quit.
Yeah.
So in the low times, don't quit. Love is choosing someone over and over and over again. Choosing them, not just once, but daily, in the big ways and in the small ways, and refusing to give up.
And it's like, so if you're in an argument with your wife or your husband,
that never happens.
Almost everyone has had one. And if you do get into a fight or an argument, choose love in that argument, or fight. Because if you don't, and you all go to bed angry still, and the next day you're still angry, you're not choosing love, you're choosing angry, and your marriage is going to fall apart because you guys won't settle for love. You're settling for anger now because you're all mad at each other.
Right. Show love in the way you talk to your spouse, right? Even in the argument, remember, that's supposed to be the person that you love more than anybody else in the world. And you should be arguing, if you want to use that word, having loud discussions. I had when we were growing up, there was a friend of ours, dad, he said, my wife and I never fight. We'd stay up all night and have loud discussions.
Oh my God.
So whether it's a loud discussion or whether it's an argument, you should be looking for a solution, not trying to win a war.
Yeah.
Because you're not at war, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's how you talk to them, but it's also how you listen. It's how you respond when you're frustrated. And so, culture today, man, if you are a TV watcher and you watch Hallmark and you watch some of these romantic comedies and all these things, they can make love look effortless. Like it's just easy. It's wonderful. But love is not without effort. It takes an effort to protect love, to build and nurture relationships.
Yeah. Especially Hollywood. If you look at Hollywood and Disney, they all try to show that love looks easy and there's no fights. The Hallmark, the Hallmark love series, all that, every time. Showing love and all that, but it's not like what they show. It's completely different. I think that's what throws people off when they get into a relationship and when they get married. They think it's all about this Hallmark and Disney or Hollywood love stuff, but it's not.
And if you watch a bunch of that, subconsciously you can begin to think that that's what real life is. And that's not what real life is. And sometimes, people will say, well, it's too hard. I'm tired of fighting. Love shouldn't be this hard. Well, just because something takes effort doesn't mean that it's broken. Anything that's worth doing is worth doing right. And anything that takes some effort to do is valuable. And, put the work in, build the relationship, have the hard conversations. Don't turn away from your spouse, lean into your spouse, right? When you're frustrated, when you're tired, when life is hard, instead of turning away from your spouse and seeking comfort in sinful habits or, relationships that are unholy and not biblical, lean into your spouse and understand that they are God's provision. They are God's plan to be your helpmeet, to be your strength, to be your companion, your friend. Two are better than one. And the number one relationship that is meant to strengthen you is your marriage, right? But sometimes it can feel like that marriage relationship is the one draining you. But even in that moment, you lean into your spouse.
Oh, yeah.
And tell them, let's figure this out. Let's work this out together. Because when you got married, we're talking to married people for a minute. When you get married, you make a covenant with God. It's not just something that you said before a preacher or some guests in the congregation or before the courthouse, justice of the peace, but you made a covenant before God. Till death do us part. And so you have to honor God and keep that covenant. And what's that phrase when you're working out, you're exercising? No pain,
no gain.
No gain, right? So go through the low times, go through the hard times, work through it. And I think we've mentioned this scripture a lot during our last few episodes, maybe. But Paul said in Galatians chapter 6, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap, right? And what's he talking about? He said, don't grow weary in well-doing, because in due season you will reap if you faint not. And so be not weary in well-doing. Fighting for your marriage is well-doing. leaning into your spouse and figuring out how to make it work and how to have those hard conversations. That's well doing. Don't grow weary in well doing, because if you stick it out, if you keep doing well, you will reap that benefit. So maybe there's somebody watching today that they're hearing this and maybe they're discouraged. I just want to tell you, keep fighting for your marriage, keep putting in the effort, because you will get to the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
You will get to the good stuff. And parents who love each other are teaching their children a valuable lesson,
Mm-hmm.
because kids are watching.
Oh, they are. And it's not just watching, they're listening. Because if you don't say I love you a lot to your spouse, they think, oh, well, it's fine to not always say I love you back or whatever.
Mhm.
Because they're hearing and listening to what you're doing to your spouse. If you're not loving them as much, they can see that and they can hear it.
Well, and children are learning what stability is.
Oh, yeah.
By watching you. They're learning what safety is by watching you. And so when children see a mom and dad stick it out, you're teaching that son or that daughter that love doesn't walk away. And really what you're teaching them is you're telling your child, I'm not going to walk away from you. I'm not walking away from your mom or your dad, and I'm not going to walk away from you. You're teaching them that love never gives up. But if your child sees you separate, divorce, walk away, you're teaching them that walking away from them is also an option. Because if you walked away from your spouse, what keeps you from walking away from your children? That's what can go on in your kid's mind, is that,
oh yeah,
wow, mom walked away from dad. Maybe someday she'll walk away from me. Now, I'm not saying that people should stay in abusive relationships.
No.
None of that. So don't comment and write and all kinds of stuff. We're not saying that anybody should stay in an abusive relationship. If you're in an abusive relationship, there are abuse hotlines, domestic violence hotlines.
Yes.
You need to call those numbers. You need to get out of that abusive
and take
relationship.
your kids with you. If you have kids and they're getting that, take them out.
If you're being beaten, if you're being harmed in any way, you don't feel safe, you need to get out of that situation, right? Love does not hurt.
It shouldn't hurt.
Love might be hard, love might take effort, but love does not hurt. And so if you're being hurt or harmed, we're not telling you to stay in that relationship, okay? But we're just talking about the normal, everyday life, frustrations, disappointments, lack of communication, and sometimes people fall out of love. And sometimes it's just over little things.
Oh, yeah.
Just the mundane life, like because they just got wrapped up in doing laundry and fixing cars and going to work and running kids to all their school events and doing all the church activities. And before you know it, it's been days or weeks before they've hugged, they've kissed, they've said, I love you, before they've stopped and even noticed the person that they share a bed with every night, and husbands and wives can very quickly become roommates if they're not careful, right, because of routines, busy routines. And that's, even Jesus took times to withdraw from the crowd and rest and spend time with the disciples, those that he loved the most. And we need to do that. We need to take those times and rebuild and reinvest in our marriage, because we're teaching our children that love sticks it out. We're modeling love for our children.
Yes. And it's weird to say this, but love is also like a test, because when you're trying to love someone, you're testing to see if they love you back, kind of. But it's like a test to see how long you hold out, because
love is tested through conflict.
Yeah.
Right? When you stand on your wedding day and you say, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. on that day, everybody's dressed up.
Yeah.
You got a fancy meal waiting for you. You got gifts waiting for you. You're getting ready to take a great vacation. On that day, you probably don't know what the poor is.
Yeah.
You don't know what the worse is. You don't know what the sickness is, right?
Yeah.
On that day, you're feeling good. But there's gonna be a day where you have more bills sitting on the dining room table than you do money in the account. There's going to come a day where your spouse is sick and you can't go have fun. 2 years ago on New Year's Eve, or not this last New Year's Eve, but the New Year's Eve going into 25.
Yeah.
So we were going from 24 to 25. Your mom,
I think I remember this. She was sick. And
she was extremely ill on that New Year's Eve. And we had plans. We were going to go out with, friends. We were going to have a good time. And mom got sick. She had to go to the emergency room.
I think I remember.
And so
that was from her surgery, right? When she had her surgery.
It wasn't from her surgery.
No.
Her surgery was way before that, but she just had gotten sick, and we ended up staying home.
I know.
And we went to bed well before midnight. It was not one of our best New Year's Eves, right? That would be an example. Here we are, supposed to be a night where we're eating and having a good time, and we're sitting in the emergency room.
Yeah.
In sickness
and
in health. And so love is maybe proven through conflict, through those trials. And the question is whether that conflict will push you together or pull you apart. That's what we have to decide.
And it just depends how you handle it. Like you said, it's through, sickness and health and all. It's just how you handle all of that. If you don't want to go through that, then maybe you didn't want to be married, maybe you didn't want to love them that much to go through it.
Right.
And
well, that's what your emotions can be.
Yeah.
But you made a commitment. And, I think that's something too, is people just don't honor commitments anymore. And if you make that commitment, you need to make it work. You need to make it last. And so even in conflict, I said this just a minute ago when we were talking about argument. When two people that love each other are arguing, they should not be arguing for victory, like, ha, I was right.
Yeah.
But they should be fighting for a resolution.
Oh, yeah.
For understanding, for coming together and unity again. And so, we're going to wrap this up. But if I could say one thing to you as my son, if we could say anything to those that are listening, serve your spouse without keeping score.
Yeah. Don't keep score. Like when we mean score, we mean like, don't keep track of like, oh, I cleaned dishes, I did laundry, I did this and that. You need to give me some back, or you need to do that next week.
Right. It's your turn.
Yeah. Do it out of love. And this is the month of love because it's Valentine's. So don't try to keep points, but you should do it even though it's not Valentine's. Like maybe 1 month, just go in there and do the laundry or clean the car out or whatever that your spouse does. Just do it in conditional love, because showing them that you are there to help and you can do it too, you're showing, hey, you're not alone. You don't have to worry about this chore or this. I can do it. You relax, because they're always trying to work and try and get stuff clean.
Right. Don't look at how you can get out of doing work or sacrifice, but instead consider how you can serve your spouse. And if two people go into a marriage thinking, oh, she'll complete me, she'll make me happy.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, he's he's everything that I've been lacking and I've been needing in life, and he's just going to make my life happy. If both people go into the marriage expecting the other person to make them happy, both people are going to be disappointed. A better approach should be both people coming into the relationship saying, I am going to give them the best life they've ever had.
Yeah.
And if the husband and the wife both go in determined to serve, determined to give the other the best life they've ever imagined, you're going to have a great marriage, because it's not about serve me, please me, take care of me, but it's about how can I serve you? How can I please you? How can I take care of you?
Yeah.
And when we take our focus off of ourselves and put it on our spouse, that's how we're going to build a happy marriage. And that's what love is. Love doesn't think about self.
It thinks about someone else.
Love thinks about what can I do for somebody else.
And you could say that's what Jesus did on the cross. He thought about us in the future, showing his love and his sacrifice for us.
He paid a debt he did not owe. He paid a debt for you and I. The writer of Hebrews says that he endured the cross, despising the shame, for the joy that was set before him. The joy was relationship with us.
Yep.
Everything he did was so that he could have relationship with us. And I love this this thought about Romans 5:8. But God commendeth his love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for the ungodly. He loved us without any guarantee that we would ever reciprocate that love.
Yes.
And that's how husbands are commanded to love their wife, like Christ loved the church. So husbands, we're commanded to love our wife, to serve her, to honor her, to sacrifice for her, without any promise or guarantee that she's going to meet that back. But if we're going to love like Christ, that's how we need to love.
Yep.
And he is the definition of love. The Bible gives us the definition of love. God is love. Not Hallmark, not your rom-coms, not all those things. God is love. And his word teaches us exactly what that love is. And marriage is the greatest opportunity for us to show the love of God to this earth. And so maybe next week we'll talk more about marriage.
Yep. I think that's what I think that's what we'll do. Next week we'll do marriage. And then the week after that we'll do family. And then the fourth week we'll figure that out.
All right.
We only know
So next week we'll talk about marriage.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us with Legacy Talks, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.